don't know if you want to talk about this because it's like pretty personal. But when you told me this story, it inspired me so much. It was about when you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that? Like, you don't have to,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
bro. Because when you told me that story, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't mind about talking about it like now, but at the time, like, to be honest, I only really got control of the psychology side of things towards the mid to late last year.
True, yeah.
I see you in like a lot of your trading picked up though.
Yeah, that's probably why. What's going to help me build up my psychology and make me more confident into getting into trades? Yeah, the one thing you said was just like back testing and getting your statistics and building that data, and I was like, oh, stink answer, but like that's the right answer, you know.
Were you sort of looking for like an easy fix at that point?
Yeah, I thought psychology had nothing to do with technicals. So yeah, I thought you just had like some holy grail answer, and it wasn't the case. So the answer was just do the work, and psychology comes.
Towards the end of last year, on those top step accounts, when I was passing them, I wasn't using the stop loss.
True.
I was just
Dynamic stop loss.
yeah, and doing the whole mental stop loss.
Yeah.
Watch it go down.
True.
There was no stop loss.
Yeah.
Just account lost.
Damn, that's crazy, bro.
There's a setup leading into there, and if I can be on the right side of that setup,
Yeah.
it's a nice a nice trade, you know.
Right, you guys are catching moves too, eh?
So that's pretty new to me, that market timing,
Yeah.
being a part of NY.
The reason why 99% of traders aren't profitable is because like 99% of traders aren't. All right, team, welcome back to the Big Wick Energy podcast. Joined here by Team Ambitious. We've got George here, Bihari, and myself. Today we're going to get into an interesting topic, something that we really think is going to help you guys out, and it's all about the top mistakes that beginners make, whether it's emotionally, things that you're missing up on the charts, strategy-wise. We're also going to get into how we blew accounts and the lessons that we learned. All right, let's get into it.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really don't
Tell me what you want.
what you really want. I wanna be down. Wanna dig it.
Yeah, that's intro, brother. So first and foremost, the common technical and psychological mistakes that most beginner traders end up making. You don't really think about it, eh? You
For
don't
me,
really
technical. For me, technical. Getting stuck on the 1 minute.
Yeah, yes.
That's
Massive mistake.
That's when the market maker in me comes out. But no, probably, getting stuck in the 1 minute.
Yeah.
Going in knowing my bias, but then the 1 minute being able to flip my bias. And then, not zooming out.
Right.
Taking into account the 5, the 15, the 1 hour.
No doubt. Yeah, once you learn a trading range, you're just like stuck on that 1 minute, like me, trying to catch every single boss or like catch that entire move.
Yeah.
And then next minute, reversal.
You become liquidity.
Yeah, major key to zoom out, look at the high time frames and see, what we're doing on daily, 4 hour, 1 hour. Especially on gold, like gold tends to go between like 15-minute range is like really good, and that works well with the 1 minute. But if you don't know what your ranges are, that can be difficult to understand where market direction is actually going. So yeah, big lesson: zoom out, look at high time frames.
Yep. Look to the left.
Yeah.
to the left, to the left. Don't know the other words. Another mistake I think beginners make too is not taking into consideration the psychological factor. When when it comes to even practicing. Like they're starting to learn, but they don't understand the emotional effects that could or are going to come with the whole trading as well. Which in other podcasts we have touched on. But it's definitely one of those early things that no one takes into consideration. Everyone just wants to learn the technical side of stuff. So, Like, when did psychology start coming in for you guys? Like, pretty early or nah? Like, actual psychology, though. Like, obviously now you guys understand it and, like, when. But back then, when you were just starting, like, was it even on the train of thought?
Nah, not for me. Nah. To be honest, I only really got control of the psychology side of things towards the mid to late of last year.
True, yeah. I see you in like a lot of your trading picked up though.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Jim.
Yeah, at the start. Yeah, I thought had the technicals, or thought I did, but then that would go out the window. The technicals would go out the window because my psychology was here, there, everywhere. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, not till the end of mid to late year, get control of it, and then that helps you just stay focused on your technicals. And what about you guys?
For me, I think it was like as soon as I got that funded, bro, and I lost that $1,000. That's when I was like hounding this guy, bro, in the education platform. Like, bro, can you do heaps of stuff on psychology? Like, what's going to help me build up my psychology and make me more confident into getting into trades? Do you remember that, bro?
Yeah.
I remember those calls, because they were so helpful. Just like picking your brain, and the one thing you said was just like back testing and getting your statistics and building that data, and I was like, stink answer, but like that's the right answer, just like that's the work that you got to do to build up the confidence, and
Were you sort of looking for like an easy fix at that point?
Yeah, because I thought psychology had nothing to do with technicals, but like and like as we've touched on before, like trading is like such a holistic thing that if you're losing out on like risk management, then you're not going to be profitable. If you're like if you don't have a strategy down, then you're not going to be profitable. Even if your risk management and your psychology is all good, like everything needs to be, on the same level. So yeah, I thought you just had like some holy grail answer, and it wasn't the case. So the answer was just do the work, and psychology comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think just talking to Oz about this today, because he's like, I think he's just trying to improve, and he asked me, he's like, what do I need to work on? And I just told him, man, just journal every single trade. Like, that's the work that no one wants to do, and it's probably the reason why 99% of traders aren't profitable. It's because, like, 99% of traders aren't journaling. But that is honestly the shortcut to becoming a profitable trader. Just comes back to building the data and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you're a beginner trader, the next trade you jump into, just journal it. It's easy as.
And in terms of journaling, what would they be writing down?
You'll be writing down like what the time is that you entered the market, or like entered your trade. You have to enter like where your stop loss is, what you're targeting, so your TP. You're looking at did you enter off a POY, or was it like an area of interest, or if you're a breakout trader, like did you enter off a breakout, or was it like a volume profile level? The more detailed you can be, the more information and data you're going to collect. So, yeah, you kind of just want to be as detailed as possible. So, yeah, time of entry, price that you entered, stop loss, take profits, what are your emotions going into the trade, had you just like rush into this trade? Like, did you just jump onto TradingView, 5 minutes before market open, or had you already done your analysis in the morning, and so you had a clearer understanding of market direction? Did you even know what market direction was? Like, the more detailed you can be, the quicker you're going to become profitable.
Before we move on to the next point, I just wanted to touch base on what you said there about journaling your time. So a lot of people would overlook that because they sort of just feel like they're just marking down the time of like what they're doing. But can you just explain to like people that don't understand why the time of you trading is important?
Yeah, market timing is crucial. So my trading's changed up heaps. I kind of used to trade every session. And now with life at the moment, I'm only really trading Asia London. And I've found throughout building my data and journaling all my trades, I found that there was 2 p.m. volume, New Zealand time, 2 p.m. there was like an injection of all this liquidity coming into gold. And I only realized that because I was journaling, every single day for like, I don't know, a month or two. And I was like you start to notice all these things, pick these things up. And so, I just found like market timing at 2 p.m., China, Shanghai, that's when they start to inject their liquidity into the market. I started like looking around 2 p.m. entries, and I only knew that because of, entering that into my journal. 2 p.m. this is going to come. And then around, I think it's a time back in New Zealand. It's like when Frankfurt opens, there's a potential that it's going to reverse. And so like I'll start to journal all that kind of stuff, and that's the data that you want to build. And it's like a shortcut into, adding more confluence into your trade entries. So market timing, whether you're going to enter in Asia, like just see where you're usually entering your trades, because, market cycles tend to happen every so often and they just kind of repeat, and you start to notice all these little things. And now I'm like, usually jumping in a trade around 2 p.m. New Zealand time. So that, or you're either like entering London Open, and I've noticed like 11 p.m. New Zealand time around London session, there also tends to be a bit of volume coming in. And then gold likes New York session, so New York Open, and then there's Comics Open, NYSE, and these are the things that you'll start to pick up once you start journaling. Market timing.
Such an overlooked aspect, eh?
100, bro.
People would have just heard you say like, journal your time. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But not understand like why. Market journaling, huge part of your entire trading plan.
Yeah, for sure. Because like you guys are trading in New York, NYSE. Like, when do you think you guys get into, like, what time are you guys getting into trades?
I'm obviously just getting into it the start of this year in NY, now that I'm in Aussie.
Yeah.
But man, that Comics Open and those candles, when I first saw like, US 30 and NAS move, it's like news candles to me.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And,
NYSE.
and so then I obviously the last few weeks been around that, I've realised there's a setup leading into there, and if I can be on the right side of that setup, it's a nice a nice trade,
Bro, you guys are catching moves too, eh?
So that's pretty new to me, that market timing, being a part of NY consistently.
Nice.
And now gathering my data for NY, because I've been back in NZ, I was more just London and that Frankfurt push, or trying to stay up for NY, but
it's tougher.
Couldn't. But now trading NY, collecting that data.
Nice.
There's some big moves in there.
Yeah, man, a thought just popped into my head. If you guys want to get access to our data, you can sign up, and it costs you about No, if you guys actually want to see our data and our journaling, potentially something that we might share.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like for me, it's what's worked for me.
I have to start journaling.
I definitely got a journal plan that I'd share.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, just that I've done up on Notion.
Yeah, mean.
Similar to the things that you've just discussed. Even one of the things I'd do is I take a screenshot of because I'm more visual. Sometimes you see numbers, and you look straight past it. But if you're beginner and visually you see the chart, you can go possibly rewind and have a look and back on the chart and reflect on the two.
Nice. Do you take a screenshot before and after, or is it like?
Yeah. Oh, not before and after, just when I'm placing the trade, or when the trade's finished.
Oh yeah. Nice.
So win or lose, I'd do that, and I'd usually do it on the 1 and the 15, and then maybe like the hourly.
Yeah. Nice.
Just so like you can kind of see where you are in the overall range.
Yeah, mean. Yeah, that's a good way to go about it, eh? Yeah, visually, like, bro, because when I was doing those trade breakdowns, like doing the videos, bro, that was just like online journaling for me, eh? Like, visually, like seeing when my entry was coming in, and then like because I was like talking throughout the process, I could like analyze. Like, sometimes I watch them and be like, no, this guy's like had a bad day. Like, is he sure he wants to get into this trade? And I can kind of analyze like my emotions, like watching some of the trades that I've been in. So that's another thing, like journaling your emotions.
Yeah, 100%. Something I did as well. Just if something's happened in your day, or I was working at the time, so if building, if something had played up on site, or did that tweak me, or the pressure outside of trading, all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
family, relationships.
When you say journaling your emotions, like, I mean, don't go into detail of like what you're writing down, but are you just like, I felt happy going into this trade, or are you like going into a little bit more detail about that?
Sometimes it would be pretty basic, as long as I was writing something.
Right.
Didn't always have to be in depth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always just had to be honest, like, and almost rate the trade as well, like.
Nice.
But I'd be like, oh no, I'm feeling good going into this.
Nice.
But then if I found myself saying that too much, then I'd be like, are you just telling yourself that?
Yeah, true.
And then I'd break it down into more depth and be like, oh, what's happened in my day today,
Yeah. Yeah, major key, bro, journaling, all that kind of stuff. Because, like, how else do you know what an A+ setup is for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got asked that question, recently in one of the calls, what's an A+ setup for me? And like, I didn't have the answer, because every setup that I'm going into is, to me, the same.
Yeah.
And because it's like around the same time. But again, like, there is that difference in how much I want to be, sort of risking, which was, I guess, in that last podcast they were talking about, the risk management. But like, there might be setups where I'm going to risk more.
Yeah.
There might be setups that I'm going to risk less, but I haven't really put anything on like this is an A+ setup sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you're risking less, it's still A+ setup.
Yeah, like
it's just the different, possibly timing in the market for you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
So
I haven't
it's
really
an A
like
setup.
looked into it.
Hey,
So it's not an A+ setup.
Yeah, like it's. Yeah, I haven't. Well, yeah, I haven't looked into it, and it'll be interesting to find out. What setup is, and it's just so you guys are talking about what you're journaling in. Using Notion. What are you using? Notion as well. I actually use TradeZeller.
That's right, yeah.
And so TradeZeller automatically just takes every single trade that you're going to be doing. And so you can, you don't have to take screenshots and stuff. You can go back into it and have a look like where you were. It'll show you exactly where you entered. And like sometimes it's quite revealing as well, because it will show whether or not you were, what do you call it?
Impulsive.
Like when you get in, impulsive. Yeah. you can see like where you're being impulsive into, getting into a trade too quick.
Right.
Because it'll show you like where you entered, but they like the POI's down here,
Yeah.
Which is like another thing as well, just having that patience for waiting for it to come back to what you're waiting for, and not just getting in beforehand because you're, scared of missing out. But that's a huge part, and then you can go back into your trading, and it'll tell you like what your 1-to-1 was. Overall, it's going to tell you your win percentage and all of that. But huge key. Like if you don't want to be taking that data yourself, but again, like it does cost. Isn't a plug, by the way. No. It does cost, and like I find it so handy.
Yeah.
So handy to be using because I don't want to spend that time taking down all of this data. I want to be able to jump into the interface, look for the trade, and then just journal what I was feeling in there.
Yeah, nice.
But before that, I actually jump into ChatGPT and sort of just get a rundown.
Yeah, nice.
And what ChatGPT thinks as well, and then I chuck my thoughts into TradeZella.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's cool, bro. Yeah, I think TradeZella is really good, like, if you can afford it. But also, I kind of see it as, like too much of a shortcut. Because if you're journaling on Notion or, like, Google Spreadsheets or whatever, it's like another layer of discipline. So, like, I have to tell myself, if I'm going to get into this trade, I have to journal this trade, So it's like... I hate journaling. Yeah. No one wants to journal. And so if I'm going to get into this trade, then I'm going to have to journal it. Like, it has to be a good trade for me to journal, Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that extra layer of discipline before I get into the trade. Yeah.
Nice.
Other confluence. Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
You have any more mistakes that beginner traders are making that you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh, he's got one. On my not using a stop loss.
I knew he was going to say that.
Right, and that's not even...
Is that beginner mistakes or?
Right. Since I just moved it up. Towards the end of last year, on those top step accounts, when I was passing them all, I wasn't using a stop loss.
True.
I was just...
Dynamic stop loss.
Yeah. And doing the whole, mental stop loss.
Yeah.
Watch it go down.
True.
There was no stop loss.
Yeah.
Just account lost.
Damn, that's crazy, bro.
But yeah, so that was probably mid-year. Sorry, mid-year when I had those accounts.
Yeah.
And just holding on to those trades without having that experience, thinking that I could get away with no stop loss.
That's a key, like, I mean, it's probably something that a lot of people should be doing no matter what level they're at, Even being, sort of like, I use the term mental stop loss a lot, purely just because, like, for gold, for example, like, it took liquidity and went up, even though price is pushing, like on the 1 minute and the 5 minute, price is pushing down. And so it created that closure below, pulled back to a point of interest and continued down. However, if you're looking at the overall, you could have gotten into a gold trade off a point of interest before it took liquidity. And so if you are doing that, and then you are looking at, like say a mental stop loss below the actual low, the next low, that's a type of stop loss that you would preferably want to be using as someone that, has been into the market for such a long time.
And just further on that, no stop loss. Even when I have had stop losses at the start, I would move my stop loss.
Yeah, bro. I do that sometimes.
Because, I've tried to run a real tight stop loss.
Yeah.
And then I look below it and I'm like, it's going there. So I click, drag. It's going past there too. So that's probably, along with no stop loss, is probably more so moving my stop loss would be more was more common.
Yeah.
Just don't though, eh? Like you don't have to. I don't think.
But you get once you time in the market, confidence, repetition.
That's it.
Then you realize, let it hit your stop loss.
Yeah.
And then find your entry again.
When you think about it logically too, you know, like say that you have 3 stop losses. 3 points of interest that you could potentially take a trade from. You take a trade from the first one and it hits your stop loss. You take a trade from your second one, hit your stop loss. Take a trade from the third one, and then it goes up and, you know, goes the direction that you want in, which a lot of the times we see happening, especially in NYSE with NAS and US 30. Even if you took every single trade, you're only losing 2%, right? And then if that third one keeps going up and breaks, realistically, you're probably winning 5 to 6% because it's off that extreme point of interest, you know. So taking that math into consideration means that you are going to lose 2%, but overall, if you're taking every single trade with, you know, the risk management and the trading plan that you're going with, you know, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's you're going to end up winning rather than, you know, losing. And so, no stop loss is crazy, bro. All right, so the next topic, whilst we're, you know, talking about it, how many accounts have you blown?
Why are you looking at me? The bro was trading before me.
Well, that's what. So, how many accounts have you blown? Let me just look at what the question is. How many accounts have we blown, and what do we learn from those accounts being blown? Did we learn?
I was literally about to say.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the lesson, eh?
Were they what were those? The HFTs?
Yeah.
Yeah, lost those. Didn't learn anything.
That was a loss, not a lesson.
That was 4 times. Oh no, sorry, 3 times.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. What were they? $800 each.
Yeah, bro.
That was green. That was just dollar signs.
Yeah. Classic beginner mistake, though, eh?
Classic beginner.
What were you thinking, though, like, coming into it, eh? Like, oh, I'm going to flip this, make some coin.
Just, I just got $100,000. Easy. watching the bro do his thing. You'd make it look very easy.
Yeah, hard.
But that comes with experience.
Yeah.
So I was like, if the brother down south can do it, the cousin up north can do it. Maybe not.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that was it. Couple of HFTs, and then probably getting into Top Step. I used I've mentioned before. I used Top Step as like my live forward testing. So there were quite a few resets there, but also I passed quite a few accounts as well, and still am passing those accounts. Like have passed accounts.
Yeah.
And one live.
Yeah.
That was probably before.
Wait, one live you blew?
Yeah. So after
what was that, $1,000?
Yeah. So after those bot accounts, the HFT ones, I was like, stuff those accounts.
Yeah.
Like, they're not legit.
Yeah.
And so I did did a live 1,000. Lost that in 5 days.
True.
Yeah. And then I was like, looks like I need to go back to the props. And then that's just where I use Top Step as my live forward testing.
Yeah. What was the lesson that you learned with the live account, though? Like losing the live?
I needed risk management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're just over risking?
Yeah. Over risking.
Yeah.
And then especially when the dollars were going down, then I was over leveraging again, trying to make that back.
Yeah.
And it was gone just like that.
What was your psychology like through that, bro?
After, it was shocking. That was that mid-year where I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Mid-year crisis.
Hey,
Mid-year crisis.
I thought you were gonna say midlife. I was like, don't do me like that. But yeah, that's and then obviously the lessons from the combines was, that just improved me,
Yeah. Nice.
using top step, having those rules, sticking to them, passing the accounts, getting to payouts.
Yeah. Nice.
That was the lessons there.
Yeah. Nice, bro. I think there's a couple lessons in there. Like you're comparing yourself to another trader who's like pretty experienced, and I think that's something common, with a lot of traders is like everyone compares their journey to someone else's journey, and that's just something you can't do because it just drags you down, man. Like, you see someone that's been like just started trading and then all of a sudden they're like profitable within a couple months, and then you're like, oh man, I can do that. You start trading, you haven't cracked it within a couple of months, and you're like, nah, this is bullshit. Like, yeah, you're like, trading's not real. This guy's lying. It's impossible that he cracked it within that amount of time. But like, I think everyone has to treat their own journey like without comparing it to someone else's, because man, it just rocks you. Even like I did it heaps, bro. Like even though I picked it up quick, went through that losing streak, and then other people were coming in and like getting it pretty quick and making some coin, and I was like, what the hell, like what's going on? Like all of a sudden I didn't know how to trade, and these guys are like just started. Like,
Oh, were you comparing yourself?
oh, like yeah, like psychologically, emotionally, and I was like, didn't know what I was doing, bro, and I thought I was gonna pack it in, but had no choice but to just keep pushing. So if you're comparing yourself to another trader, just don't do it, man, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Bro, I've even done that. With you, eh? Like obviously we started at very similar times, but our approach was totally different, eh?
Yeah.
Like you went just,
Oh, bro, I wasn't deep, cuz. Yeah.
and I was still doing, I had the house to build with
Yeah.
the oldies and that. So yeah, but I had moments throughout the year where but I also turned that around. Wasn't just comparing myself. I was like, oh, the bro can do it.
Yeah.
Yo.
I mean, so you use it like,
Yeah.
well, I can
So
do
you
it
can
too.
flip it too, eh?
Yeah, 100, bro.
And same with, after seeing you in Auckland, talking about manifesting and stuff. Same again. I'd done comparing myself to Huddy, but I was like,
Yeah.
yo, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
I want that life.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Yeah. That's a great way to go about it, Like, because trading can open up so many doors, and, like, this life is possible. And if you just push through and, like, we're just a couple cousins from New Zealand, bro. Like, if we can do it, bro, like, far out.
That's actually it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're not special in any way
Nah.
to be, have the knowledge that we have about trading. It's just education,
Yeah, for sure.
just learning. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But I think, like, a lot of beginners as well is going to compare themselves to you guys too, Like, both of you starting, March last year, and now you're trading full-time, working full-time in the industry. And, you both came from different backgrounds, builder. What were you doing?
I don't even know.
Photography, videos.
It's fun employed.
But it's, you had the 9 to 5. I mean, even I had the 9 to 5 before doing this, and yeah, it's nothing special, eh?
Yeah. What about yourself? Did you compare yourself to?
Bro, I think that's probably something that, I was, I guess, lucky with, is I didn't really have someone that I could compare myself to.
True.
The people that I was getting into trading with were sort of like at that same level as I was anyway, and I obviously, because I wanted to learn as much as I could, I ended up sort of exceeding where their sort of education level was at.
Right.
And so I ended up, I guess, knowing more, sort of thing, which, I mean, was a blessing because I wasn't comparing my journey to someone else, but also, hard because I didn't have someone that I could learn from, someone that had actually made it. It was sort of like, was I dreaming that I was going to make it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't know anyone else that has.
Yeah.
And I think when I was coming up and I was learning and stuff, a lot of friends and family from where I was, we're sort of thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, no one that we know in this town has ever done that. No one that we know in like New Zealand has ever, sort of done that and cracked it in this sort of industry. So, a blessing, but also it took me ages to find someone that wasn't, I guess, scammy.
Yeah, true.
That I could, learn from, and it had to be from someone from overseas. I couldn't find a New Zealand person where I trusted, and I think like that's where a lot of people end up joining to, is because I am from New Zealand, you guys are from New Zealand. We're just cousins, like you were saying. That's where the whole trust factor comes in. But, I ended up spending a lot of money on education and mentors, trying to find what was going to work for me. I was so determined, just because of the doubt that everyone had on me.
True. Dang, guys, that's inspirational.
Just determined, bro. Like I was going to make it if I did it for the next 50 years.
And
no quit, bro. No quit.
bro, can we I don't know if you want to talk about this because it's like pretty personal, but and like when you told me this story, it inspired me so much. It was about when you're doing real estate.
Yeah.
And you're like going back and forth between Masada and like where you were sleeping. Do you want to talk about that? Like, you don't have to, but like,
yeah, I mean, yeah,
bro. Because when you told me that story, I was like, fuck.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't mind about talking about it like now, but at the time, like, so for like everyone that obviously doesn't know. So in real estate before I was trading, before real estate, I was actually on a sickness benefit because I got a heart condition, for anyone that doesn't know, and had just had surgery. And so I had to apply for jobs, had to get sedentary jobs because I couldn't do physical work and like heavy lifting with my heart, which sort of just forced me to be sending my CV to, sales areas and blah, blah, blah. Had no idea I had applied for a real estate job, but I had to, do my obligations to WINS and, show that I am trying to find a job sort of thing. So ended up going to this interview, ended up getting the job, and didn't realize that you don't actually get a salary in real estate. And so they're like, oh, yeah, you got the job. And I'm like, man, like I knew that like real estate agents, made a bit of money. But I didn't realize, they actually make money when they sell houses. And so at that point, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. How many houses are you going to give me to sell? And then they're like, oh, you have to find the houses yourself. And I'm like, what? Like, this is a scam, bro. But then I asked, like how much are people making per house, when they sell them? And they're like, the offers average was 15,000 per house. And I was like, how many houses do people sell in a year? Like that was instantly my thought. And so I was coming off, being on WINS, not getting, a lot of money, obviously back then. So very, very, very humble beginnings. So pretty much took the job, wanted to see whether or not it was going to work. At the time, my son was just born. So he had, partner and son back home. And this job was about 2 hours away from where I lived. And I obviously at that time couldn't afford to be traveling back and forth. So it sort of cost me, like if I was going to be traveling back and forward, it was sort of like 3/4 of a tank. Maybe, half a tank, 3/4 of a tank. And being in the job, I had to be, obviously driving to appraisals and stuff as well. So, with the job, we actually got a free parking space right in the city, and so I didn't have anywhere to stay, and so I was going to work, just working as much as I could. I pretty much just asked them, what do I have to do to try and find, houses to sell? And they said the best thing to do is cold call. And so every single day I was calling between 300, 500 people, and just like constantly on the phone, boom, boom. And it in Pursuit of Happiness, how when he's trying to become a stockbroker and he's just constantly calling and like not hanging up, just dialing next. Yeah. That's the sort of thing that I was, trying to do, and so I'll go to work, finish work at like sort of 9 o'clock, wait for everyone to leave, which is sort of like, dark time anyway. Yeah. And then I'll go back to the car and sleep in my car.
Damn. Wild, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I was sort of homeless. I mean, it wasn't homeless because I had a home. I just couldn't afford to be traveling back and forth. So, just, making that sacrifice, I was sleeping in my car and at car park pretty much 3 or 4 nights during the week, and then I'll drive home on Friday. And yeah, just do that whole process every single week while I was in real estate, to make sure I was having a shower, and then I would go to the gym in the morning, have a workout, and then go to work. I'll have a workout, have a wash, get refreshed for the next day, go to work, and then during the day, like all I bought was 2 5-packs of mega rings. Like that's what I'd have for lunch and dinner. And then I'd buy like a Weet-Bix and milk. And that was sort of costing me like $20-$30. And like that was my diet. That was like, and it's saving so much money. Like I didn't have to spend money on accommodation, didn't have to spend money on fuel, and I wasn't spending too much money on diet as well. So yeah, that
is wild, bro. Like to go from that point to where you are now is like, when you told me that, bro, it opened up my eyes, and I was like, fuck. Like, if the bro can do it, like anyone can do it,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I think everyone's seen, the point that I'm at now sort of doesn't, take into consideration what other people's past may look like. And that was, like I didn't grow up having money. We was like super broke as kids. I think the key thing was to have the end goal of, I said in another podcast that I always told my mum I was going to be a millionaire. And, that never faltered anywhere. Like it was the goal. But yeah, that was like the start of the journey of, building a business, building wealth. In real estate, that actually started my investing as well, because my boss was heavily involved with investing in stocks and investing in property. So I was super grateful to be able to, spend that time around him and learn from him, and sort of just expand my education around that whole thing. Had, sort of learnt about it in Rich Dad Poor Dad. You want to be investing in the stock market, property market to build wealth. That's where majority of millionaires are made, is, within property, in the stock market. And so, this is where that sort of all started.
That's crazy, bro. But that's just a reflection on how you have gotten to where you are now, eh? Like, hearing that story, like that's the first time I've heard this story.
Oh, true.
Yeah. But hearing that and then seeing where you are now is like, that's why you're here now.
Yeah, that's the drive, eh?
You are him. But and then going on the back of that, like what you were saying, like what you were eating in that, we wine and dine, we go out for feeds and eat eat nice. But then sometimes the bro's just in the back eating Weet-Bix. And he's like, you hungry, cuz? I'm like, oh. But hey, that's like, and that's those humble beginnings, It's like, don't forget, like kind of, and you probably enjoy them as well, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're not eating out every day and this and that.
Nah.
You can,
And I think like at the point where I am in my trading as well, and like, you know, everyone's like, like if you're a successful trader, why don't you have a Lambo? And like, why don't you have this and that? Right? You don't need that. You know, as a trader, you don't need that to prove to anyone that you're successful in, you know, this. And there's so much things going online where, you know, all of these big traders have, you know, G-Wagons and Lambos and all of that. And I could be spending my money elsewhere, you know, helping other people, you know, sort of get to the point where we're, you know, where we are. Helping them on the come up.
Yeah, and having that family base, like I'd see my family right before driving around in a Lambo.
Oh, 100.
You know?
Oh, bro, fact.
I'm not saying that's what other traders, you know, out there and aren't looking after their families, but we have big families.
It's inevitable. Yeah, for sure.
Bro, sometimes I drive past that car park,
Hey.
Yeah, bro. And like every time I see it, I'm like, fuck, that gives me the drive, bro. Like, it inspires me every time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Like while I was in there, I was like, bro, I had like the ugliest car. Like paint was scratching off, like a little bit of rust. Bro, I had no kiss going to open homes, putting the flag up. Bro, you know, like and you usually see like real estate agents, how they always have like pretty flash cars. Like it was good, bro. It took me 6 months to end up actually getting my first sale.
Jeez.
Like 6 months of
And the
grind, bro.
Shucks.
And then like sold my first one, got a $12,000 payout from it,
True.
and like that's when everything sort of changed. It was like yes,
Man.
and like within 3 months after that, sold another 9,
Damn.
and like it just all of that work up during that 6 months just started compounding,
Yeah.
and like that was the first year that I made over 6 figures,
True.
and I was just like, oh bro, this is real.
Bro, that's so similar to trading, eh?
But that's what I was just thinking, bro.
You got like that big gap of learning, getting everything right, and then as soon as it clicks, man, snowball.
Yeah. Hard out.
Yeah,
Nice. A little bit off down the
little bit off topic, but
down the dirt road there.
yeah. What is this podcast even about?
Far out. Just cut it there. It's on.
Oh, man.
I appreciate you sharing that, eh?
Hard out, bro. I think a lot of people get like so much value from that, and like, I think it like helps humanize you, because everyone, I think when they look at Rihari Carroll, they're like, damn, that's Rihari FX, and like think he's like this crazy trader, he's balling, and then when you say stuff like that, it's just like, damn, that's just the bro that's just cracked it, and you're like creating this opportunity for so many other people. So, props to you, bro. That's massive.
Cheers, brother. Cheers, boys.
Yeah.
Cheers, boys.
Back
to it.
Yeah.
What was the thing even about?
I think we're talking about mistakes or something.
Blowing accounts.
Yeah, bro.
How did we even get onto that?
Oh, wild.
All right. 2 more topics that we need to get into. What do we wish we knew when we were starting?
Everything.
It's such a hard thing to talk about, though. It's like, oh, wish I knew this, wish I knew this.
Not to rush.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Not to rush.
that's a great one.
But it's hard because, especially coming from humble beginnings, we want that wealth and you want that money. So, and you see the dollar signs and what's possible, you're just gonna rush head first and then fall head first.
I think that's a lot of New Zealander people, go through that. Like it's hard to grow up in New Zealand. Like majority, like what was it, like 95% of everyone's like broke. Everyone sort of just comes from that same sort of upbringing, I guess. Some might have a little bit more money than others, but everyone's still finding it pretty hard. And so trying to crack it, it's like I want it now.
Yeah.
Whereas you want to be sort of cherishing the journey. But that's
And as much as you've got to learn quick as well, like take those losses or lessons and learn from them. Still don't rush them
Yeah, yeah.
because you could have a few less than you need.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, bro. Yeah, just be patient, eh?
Yeah.
Just, like, trust the process and, like, eventually,
Yeah.
like, no matter how long it takes, you'll crack it.
In hindsight's a beautiful thing, obviously, because we're in this position now.
Yeah.
It's taken you like very short amount of time to become successful, and you very same, But for the beginner trader that's trying to start out, they don't know how long it's going to take them.
Yeah.
And so that's why they get that rush and they get impatient about learning, this and that. And I get a lot of our students that are coming through and our students that like have been watching videos of us and like super keen, like they obviously see everything that we're chucking out. They're like, oh, I want to live that lifestyle. So I want to have money.
The rush side of things is probably don't rush to put your money in the market.
Yeah.
Rush to the education, rush to learn. But yeah, that's what I mean. Don't rush to put your money into the market or buy accounts and stuff. Use that education, subscriptions to FX Replay, do the back testing. That's what I mean.
Yeah, nice. What I wish I knew at the start is, I guess, having someone to learn from. That was a big key for me. Like, that was my difference between what your guys' journey was and what mine was. My journey took twice as long, 3 times as long as what your guys was, because you didn't have an absolute goat to go to. Cut.
Dehumanize himself real quick, eh?
Humble.
Oh, I love that reaction. But you don't have someone that you could go to and ask questions.
Yeah.
Someone that could say, "Oh, you're doing that wrong. Try look at it from this perspective." And that's something that I didn't have when I first started. I also didn't really get into the whole mentor space and anything until I had done that time during trading on my own. And so it wasn't until I got that trading mentor that sort of helped me understanding, trading properly. And then I started looking at that sort of thing in different aspects of my life. So same with golf, same with personal training, because these guys have been there before. These guys know what it takes to get to the level that I want to be at. And that's probably something as a beginner that if you are wanting to, speed up your learning, then that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, 100% agree, bro. I don't think I would have got to where I am right now if it wasn't for the mentorship from yourself. So, yeah, don't want to plug it, but I mean,
He's like, I'll go on then.
But yeah, I totally agree. I think another thing I wish I knew at the start of my journey is that losses are gonna happen. You're gonna blow accounts, you're gonna lose trades. That's just part of the journey. It's inevitable. So don't sweat it too much. If you blow an account, it's all good. Hopefully you learn a lesson from it. If you lose a trade, then you should learn a lesson from it. But yeah, don't sweat it too much, eh? It's just all part of the journey, and eventually your win-loss ratio or your win percentage will just increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As your knowledge grows.
Yeah.
Knowledge grows, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So last thing, what are 2 mistakes that you constantly made in your beginner stage, and what did you find the solution to be?
So I think for myself, it was just over trading. And if, I've said this before, but if you're not a profitable trader, it's either because you're losing too often or, you're risking too much and losing. So I was losing too often. And to minimize that, just take less trades and wait for the best setups. Number two, I think I wish I had got into like a proper routine a lot earlier than I did. So like, you know, like the routine you guys are in, you know, I wish I had set that kind of discipline up or that routine up way earlier in my trading journey. Yeah, because I mean, like, when you know, win the morning, win the day, and it's like, you know, so true. So, yeah,
Nice.
set up a routine.
That's been a
for
game
yourself.
changer for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm not beginner now, but that like our routine now is just sets you up for the day. Just it's crazy. But probably for me was like we mentioned, rushing in head first, but financially, and just trying to, you know, what did I spend
You would spend at least like
Hey?
5-6 grand.
Yeah. Just and
As a
that's
beginner.
as a beginner.
Yeah, true.
You know, like crazy. So yeah, definitely just as a green, being so green to trading, just not rushing in.
Yeah,
Definitely rush to learn, find that knowledge, put money towards the right things like FX, you know, like your back testing software and trading view and whatnot, even though you can get free trading view, but rushing in.
yeah.
Don't rush it.
That's a great one though, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
that was probably a mistake of mine.
yeah, because I think a lot of traders come in, and I've had a few one-on-ones, and everyone's like, "Do you think I'm ready for for a funded account?" And I'm like, "Cuz, have you like built up your stats?" They're like, "Nah." Do you journal your trades? Like, nah, man, nah, bro, you're not ready. Like, you know, you don't have the data. So, yeah, that's a great piece of advice.
And then probably not journaling. Like I didn't journal for the first half of that year, and then midway I took 2 months of just straight journaling, forward testing.
Damn.
And that was another game changer just on where I was at, you know. Yeah, just time in the market.
Yeah. Bro, but if you had done that at the start of your journey,
Yeah,
do you reckon you would have got it even?
which is what you get told to do. Journal, and you're like,
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I just want to push the buttons and make money, bro. But then if you keep having losses and you give the market $5,000, you start journaling.
That's it.
That's an expensive journal, cuz. Damn.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think a lot of people have to go through those mistakes as well. Like they don't understand
Yeah,
like
that's true.
what you go through as a beginner trader. Whereas it's just human nature though. You know, like everyone wants to make the same mistakes in life. Imagine, you know, no one making the same mistakes, like where we would probably be as a human civilization.
True.
You know, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But everyone has to go through the same mistakes that everyone makes, you know, learn the lessons. I need to learn that lesson myself rather than just taking advice, because if you just take someone's advice, it's sort of like, how do you know? You know?
Well, yeah, that's like you've mentioned things, don't do this, and I go and do it. You know, trading wise, you know, don't do
Bro
this.
needed to learn it.
So the bro does it. Oh, tail between the legs. Oh, this is what happened.
That's why you don't do it.
That's why you don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I sort of don't remember. I mean, obviously we just touched on it as, you know, I didn't have a mentor. But I think most recently the top two things that, you know, I sort of mistakes that I'm making was under analysis. Like, yeah, just not analysing the market correctly, not analysing the market at all, and just looking at, you know, the lower time frames, which is like hugely a beginner mistake. You know, they'll just look at, you know, 1 minute, 5 minute and just trade off that. And they're not looking at the overall, which is, you know, something that we do teach is multi-time frame analysis. But yeah, I was just thinking, you know, I was him. And it just went bad for me, you know, not taking into consideration everything that we teach people. Purely just because I was on the go a lot, you know, going towards the end of last year, back and forth a lot. I was spending majority of the time on a plane, as opposed to being able to, analyze the markets and be in a routine is what we're in now. I think the second thing is it's creating that peace in your life. Not trying to create stress. Trading itself is stressful as it is. But it's been a huge thing within my life at the moment is, trying to stay away from the stress, trying to just, be, super happy with where we're at and just go about life as if, it's a breeze. If you can keep that mindset, like life's so easy, life's so simple, you're going to go into every single day thinking like that. But if you're going into every single day thinking, oh, this shit again, that's what you're going to think and that's what you're going to feel, Inevitably, I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of books by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Nice. So, bit of a plug there. He's super helpful in books that he teaches you, that he has written, teaches you about, mindset and how to, love your life rather than hate your life. But those sort of things is what's gotten me to the point that I'm at now. Love my life, love where I'm at, within my life, and just achieving goals by goals, and it's just loving that journey.
Nice, bro. Yeah, trust the process, enjoy the journey. I like that.
Comes back to gratitude again, pretty much.
Bro, that's it.
Being grateful for what you've got, what's to come. Enjoy the journey.
Because you never know what's going to come.
No. Oh, no.
You can manifest it.
Oh. Oh, it's not charades, cuz it's manifesting.
Private jet. Ambitious jet. But yeah, those are the sorts of things that you want to stay away from as a beginner trader. These are mistakes that we, as profitable traders, have made ourselves, and our advice is to stay away from them. But you guys are obviously going to do whatever you want to do. These, these guys obviously didn't listen to me either. Inevitably, people want to make their own mistakes, but if you can stay away from making those mistakes as much as you can, you will get to the end goal and be a profitable trader very, very soon. So stay tuned, like, subscribe, share, notification bell, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Trading highs, oh what a ride, from doubt and fear to joy inside. With every lesson learned I grew, ambitious investing pulled me through. One night I made 28%.